Hey everyone, it's Karina here with Kenra Professional, and today I'm so excited to share with you how we created this beautiful lived-in teddy bear blonde. This is a great hair color for your clients that are looking to go a little bit lighter in those fall seasons, and also can just be a great wearable look for your brunette clients as well. So stick around and we'll show you how we created this application. So to start off, I have basic quadrant sectioning here, but as you guys will notice, I did go ahead and leave out the entire perimeter of the hairline so that we can really customize what we want to see around the face. It's going to be a little bit bolder around the perimeter once we get this look started. And then we have a simple 4-quadrant section here in the back, and then we have our 2 quadrants in the front. Biggest thing I want you guys to see here is where I start my side section. It's going to be top of the ear, so not in the back, not in the front, but directly on top, angling up into the apex and crown of the head here. Okay, so let me spin her around. You guys can see the front as well, how we have that very fine section around the face that's going to help really add some boldness and bring this color to life. So we'll go ahead and get started. To start this application, I am going to be beginning in the back. Couple of reasons, you guys. As you can see, she has a lot less previous highlight going through the back, so she has a lot more deeper tones here. So I want to make sure I get the lift that I'm looking for by starting in the back. Also, whenever I'm working on more of a full head application, if I need to get these foils out and rinsed faster, it's much easier to do that when you start in the back versus trying to begin in the front. So I am going to be working with an air touch technique today. So first quadrant here, I'm going to be taking on a diagonal back, and I'm going to go ahead and leave out some of this hairline, because what the air touch is going to do is really allow me to gather all of my long bits of hair to make sure those get fully colored and lightened, and allow these little bits to fall out. So that's what's going to create some really nice soft blends, a lot of softness and diffusion through our highlights, and give an overall baby light effect. However, we can work through this a lot faster with this technique. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and kind of leave those bits out because we don't necessarily want these to get colored. So if we color these, sometimes it can put emphasis on this area. I don't want to highlight this area and make it look like we're creating breakage. So I'm gonna leave that hairline out. And then I am working with a wider subsection here. So to maintain some control, I am gonna go ahead and split this one into 2. Now my bits are starting to get a little bit longer, so I'm gonna just get a nice subsection here, leaving that hairline out. And you'll notice as we do the technique that even more shorter hairs are gonna fall. So what I'm gonna do to begin this is get a nice comb here, take my blow dryer. I'm gonna drag my fingertips all the way to the end of my subsection here. And I do like to elevate the hair so that as I'm creating the effect with my blow dryer, I can push all the hair out without, messing up anything below my blow dryer here. So again, I'm gonna drag my fingers out to the end, elevate the hair just a little bit, and go ahead and get some of those hairs out. So once we have the hairs fallen, you can definitely use your fingers to help put those hairs into position, and use a metal prong clip if you need to keep those out of the way. So I will be using a board for this application. I'm gonna go ahead and take a long foil, fold it nicely over my board, place that board right underneath, and begin applying my product. I chose to use our Creme lightener today because I really love the amount of lift I'm able to achieve with the cream lightener. I am starting off with a 10 volume, and I actually will more than likely continue using a 10 vol throughout the entire application. Reason being, I want maximum control, and I don't want to overlift her hair. My goal is to lift her to an 8 because I am going to bring her back down to, some bits will live in the 7 range, so I don't want to overlift her hair. So I'm definitely going in with that cream lightener. I do also love the saturation that I get with the cream lightener. You guys can see how it really just saturates the hair nice and good, moves through the foil nicely. It's really going to allow us to get that nice lift in each foil on these darker areas. All right, so I'm going to move to my next subsection here. And because I do want to create a bit more of a bolder effect around the hairline, I'm going to do 3 back-to-backs. And then as we start working into the interior of the hair, we're going to pivot and leave a little more hair out in between. So these first hairline foils we want to do back-to-back, dragging my fingers to the ends. So you can see how this is really allowing me to get some really finely woven bits of hair to create a baby light effect. So I do find that it helps give the ultimate natural softness to the hair. It's not as structured looking as a baby light. So I really love using this technique to give an all over glisten to the hair, not such a structured foiled look. So again, I'm going to place my board right underneath here, parallel with my parting line, and then going right in with my product. I personally love to really saturate the mid-lengths first, get all of my product as much as possible there, because there's no heat there. So we really want to put emphasis and get our lift, as much lift as possible there. And then you can go in and feather upward if you want a softer root, more lived in, and then work your ends upwards into the mid-lengths there. We are doing a flat lay foil for this. I'm not going to be folding or anything, just nice and flat to prevent any spotting, any banding in the application. I want it to be nice and clean, nice and even from roots to ends. So we have our last subsection here. Clip those hairs away. I'm gonna grab my board. When you do the board, you're just going to fold your foil over the top here. I like to hold it all together as I place it with some tension. And then you can go in with product application. Here, and that completes that first portion of our quadrant. I'm going to work into the side panels here. So you guys can see, if you do happen to have foils that can accommodate a wider section, you can definitely use that. I am choosing to have a little bit more control with each of these sections that I'm parting off. So I am going in and just skimming that hairline and just ensuring that we're not including any of those really, really short hairline hairs in this application. Okay. So starting with our hair touch here. Lift the hair. create a nice section here. You should be able to see through each of these subsections as you are air touching the hair, especially around the hairline, so we get it nice and diffused and blended. We want boldness, but we don't want it to look harsh or chunky, so back to back is going to create that boldness, but the diffusion of the air touch is going to keep it very seamless and nice and blended. So because this area on her head has a little less density, I'm going to go ahead and do 2 sections here to go with the natural flow and shape of her hairline. So one last section. Ideally at the end of this, I will be doing a soft shadow at her root, so I don't mind a little bit of back combing at the root. It does create, by doing air touch, sometimes you will get that little back comb effect just at the root, which is great. It's going to help me out later when I go in and do a tiny root tap, because the overall end goal is to keep her in the same level family and honestly similar tonal family. Just refresh it and have a more glistening effect throughout, whereas right now it's a little more ribbony, and she has a lot less color through the interior of her hair right now. So we're gonna lay this foil over and then move on to our second back hairline section here. So I'm gonna go ahead and repeat the same thing on this side, and then we'll come back when we get to these 2 quadrants here. So we've completed both sides of the hairline. Definitely wanted to get those on first. And now we are going to jump into our 2 back quadrants. Just to do a little recap though, you guys, we did in these lower portions of the hairline, we did 3 back-to-back air touch foils. And then on the sides here, we did 2 on each side. Due to the density right above the ear, it's a little bit finer. So now we're gonna go ahead and work into the interior portions of her hair. So we are still going to maintain a pretty strong diagonal back for a little while. And then as we start to work up, we'll begin to kind of pivot it a little bit more into a horizontal. So for this net subsection, I'm going to take quite a bit more hair because we definitely want to start leaving some hair in between, because again, we don't want an all over blonde look. We just want to add some bits of sparkle, if you will, in the interior without changing her entire look here. So we're gonna section off some hair. And then again, these first sections initially are a little bit wider, so I more than likely am gonna be breaking these apart. What I do want you to be mindful of is the density in your section. When you're working on a diagonal back, sometimes, you know, a portion of it can be a little bit thicker than from end to end. So this side is a little bit thicker, so I wanna just make sure that my angles are as close to being perfect as possible with this technique. So I'm gonna pin that up, and then we're gonna work with this bit of hair. So now I'm going to skim the top of this subsection and start leaving hair in between so that we create some dimension, okay? So skimming that top off of that first section here, and then going in with that same air touch technique. Alright, so we're gonna drag these shorter hairs down. With these side ones, you definitely are gonna find that you're wanting to over direct the hair. When you get that board on there nice and snug, we wanna make sure we're following the parting line, which is naturally gonna make you over direct the hair forward. We are going to apply our product. As I'm working through this quadrant, I am gonna be creating a bit more of a V shape in my application with my product. This is gonna, again, just allow some depth to stay a little higher in that root area and just create a bit more of that ribbony effect into a more solid end result. Place our foil over the top. So we're gonna start to pivot into a little bit more of a horizontal. And this is really where you're gonna notice a bit more density in certain areas. So we're gonna try to stay true to that parting line as much as possible. So we're letting quite a bit of hair fall in between each of these highlights now. So over directing the hair forward a bit and then applying my product in a V application. And kind of feathering down into the ends. She does have a little bit of previous highlights. So just more of a feather, not so much focus on saturation for that bit. And then we're gonna lay the foils flat. So I'm gonna continue this exact process as we work up the head and continuing to pivot into a horizontal. So I will definitely come back and show you guys once I make my way to the top. Okay, so I have made my way up to the top so you guys can see that I'm working on a bit more of a horizontal subsection here. All right, so now that we have done our air touch, what I love about using a board in your foil for this type of technique is it allows more visibility when you are working with previously highlighted hair. So as you guys will notice, I'm gonna place my board here, hold the hair nice and tight so you can see where some of those previous highlights are versus a traditional, you know, baby light foil application. You would kind of just go in and find them as you go. This allows you to get that control at, like when you balayage, you can place the color where you want it without overlapping on these previously lightened ends. So I'm first going to apply my product and I'm really gonna maintain that V, more of a V type of application. I do like to utilize the straightness of my brush when applying the product to really help put emphasis on that V. So no matter if I'm going higher up and creating a shorter V or I'm going lower to create a deep V, I can literally tap in my product as a guide and just, it really helps to allow to create a sharper point there. So I'm going to apply my product. And then as you can see how her hair, it is longer than the foil, longer than the board. What I'm gonna do is slide my board out for just a second. I'm gonna place another foil right on top. Because my product is nice and saturated, I can lift that foil back up and place my board in a new foil right underneath. And then as I'm working in through the ends, I do start to see some of those previously lightened ends. So I'm just gonna scooch those out of the way and maintain that saturation level through these brunette ends here. So it really allows the most control, in my opinion, when you do use a board, because it creates that contrast between the hair and the foil, so you can really see what you're doing. You can prevent a lot of overlapping from happening. So I'm gonna lay that flat, and then you can go in and place your foil and fold that last bit up. Okay, so we made our way to the top of our back two quadrants. Just wanna recap here. So what we ended up doing through the first 3 foils on the hairline were back-to-back air touches, and then you guys can see as I made my way up, we were leaving a lot of hair, a lot more hair in between these air touch foils. And then we started in that deep V and started to pivot and ended on a horizontal here. So we made our way to the front of the application, and I don't know if you guys remember, but in the beginning I sectioned out the entire perimeter. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply my 3 back-to-back air touch foils to the front perimeter as well. Again, to really just give it that really nice diffuse but bold money piece here around her face. Just kind of make sure I create some consistency through the hairline here. And it'll also allow me to have a little bit cleaner sectioning as I work through the hairline. So also with this section, because it is more of like a triangular, can be a little bit of an awkward triangular shape, it's really important to maintain a nice clean diagonal here. Some people might go in starting down here, and that's gonna give you a different look because now it would change your sectioning to a horizontal all the way up. So just being mindful that you wanna take a true diagonal back section going with the same flow of the hairline. So get my product to lock in my foil and my placement here. Then I can switch my hand position, get it nice and tight on the foil, get some tension, and saturate through the ends. So I'm gonna continue this through the next 2 sections to do my 3 back-to-backs, and then we will move into the first quadrant in the front. Okay, you guys, so I made my way through this entire application and just wanted to go through a little recap with you. So I did the 3 foils back to back in the front, and then I did the same thing through the side panels here. But what I wanted to show you guys is how I was able to start off on a diagonal, and then I pivoted again like we did in the back. I pivoted into a horizontal subsection here as I worked my way up to where my model parts her hair. So another thing that I did in the foil, in each of the foils, was I went ahead and applied my lightener a little off the root. I feathered upwards and tried to keep a high point towards her face, low point going towards the back. So I also applied my product in a diagonal back method as well. So that is going to complete the application with our air touch technique. I do want to spin her around and show you guys the back because I did remove the foils already. Wanted to show you guys the amount of lift we were able to get with the cream lightener, and ideally, because we're going for more of that bronde, which is a mixture of a brunette and blonde, I didn't want to overlift her hair. So ideally my target was in between an 8 and a 9. She does have some pre-existing highlight that's already in that tonal family and that range as well. So I think she lifted great. And just another, key point, this was a full head application. So we went in with 10 volume through this entire back section, okay? So just to really showcase how much lift you can still achieve by using a low volume developer. Really wanted to take my time and again, not overlift because we are gonna be dropping her back down to more of a brunette tone. So just wanted to show you guys that. And once the front is finished processing, we have about 20 minutes left of this front process. We will go ahead and shampoo her and bring her back before we tone. After we shampooed with our Kenra Triple Repair Shampoo, I went ahead and towel dried her, brought her back to the chair, and I used our Porosity Equalizing Spray to balance out the porosity levels in her hair. This is a really crucial step before you go in with toning so that you get a nice even color deposit over the hair. So we're gonna go ahead and really bring this fall bronze to life. So stay tuned. All right, so to begin my toning process, I am going to do a 4 quadrant sectioning here. This is gonna give me a lot of control as I begin to apply her toner. Reason being is because I'm gonna do a melted look today. So I'm gonna start with my 5N in this root area just to marry her natural color in with these highlights really nice, so she has low maintenance here. Then we're gonna go in with our 7N and 7B just in through the mids and keep her nice and bright through the ends with our 9GB and 10B. So we're gonna do a simple sectioning here. And with the toner, I do like to begin in the front for a couple of reasons. I do feel like starting in these side panels really frames the placement of the rest of your toning application. So with her highlights, I do already have a nice, great blended effect thanks to the air touch. However, you can kind of see there's a little bit of that teardrop shape here, which is what I wanted to create with my highlights. So I'm gonna go in and mirror this with my toning application. So we are gonna, maintain the same diagonal back sectioning as we apply our toner here. And I do like to start with the root first, because it really gets a lot of depth when you begin with the root. It creates a really beautiful shaded effect in our end result. So I'm gonna go ahead and begin that process with my 5N. And really, again, I like to paint right over the surface to help guide me as to how low I want my roots to go. If you had a client that you didn't want any melt downward, you could literally just tap a little higher and do shorter strokes. But I'm purposefully doing a more diagonal back application with a longer stroke here to really help me frame what I'm doing visually from where I want her money piece to begin and where I want all of her highlights to begin as well. So I'm going in and framing first. And then from here, I already have it sectioned off, and now I will maintain a diagonal back subsection as I begin to work through her toner. And this, again, really is just allowing me to get maximum control in where I'm placing this toner. Once I begin, I do like to work from the top down. It's a bit cleaner, allows for the exact placement you're looking for. And then you can go in and just repeat the same steps as you're melting into your other tones as well. So you can really see here with the highlight application how it's all nice and connected. And that is because I did do this application in my highlight as well. So really just going in and marrying everything together. So as I work towards her hairline around the face, I do want to keep this brightness a little bit higher up than I do the back. So that's what's really great about doing more of a diagonal back application. It allows you to really keep that natural height towards the face and around the front. Versus if you went in horizontally, it would completely change the shape that you're creating in your toning application and just how everything lays. So with these last few bits around the face, I'm actually going to tap the back side of each section. This is gonna help to prevent any lines in that hairline in that front piece. So I like to go in and start blending from the back and just lay it over instead of going directly right on the hairline towards these last front pieces. So I'm pretty much gonna do that in the entire perimeter around the head, is keep it a little more root tapped, and then you can see as we work our way up, we drag that color lower to create a bit more of a melt and a bit more of like a veil-like application here. All right, so we went ahead and did a melted toner for this look because I wanted to really encourage a little bit more of a drawn out look from her natural into her bright bronde ends here. So if you guys remember that quadrant sectioning, I mimicked that with my toning application. So the entire perimeter where we did those 3 back-to-back bolder blonde bits, I went ahead and did a root tap here and then went in with my brighter lighter formula, which is 10B and 9GB. And then through this top portion, through my back 2 quadrants and front 2 quadrants, pretty much around the parietal ridge and crown area, I went ahead and gave her more of a melted look. So she has a 5N through her roots, melted into a 7N with 7B, and then melted into that 10B and 9GB through the ends. So what that's really gonna create is some nice glistening reflection and dimension throughout the interior of the hair. But I'm gonna spin her around and show you that through the back and through the front, when we style her, you're gonna see all that bright blonde around her money piece coming in through the back part of her hair. So we are going to let this process for about 15 more minutes, and then we'll go ahead and show you the after. And here's the finished look, everyone. I hope you love this color as much as we do. This is honestly the perfect teddy bear blonde. We hope you were inspired through this video to try this on your clients during the fall season. If you like videos like this, please don't forget to subscribe to KenraProfessional.com, and we'll see you next time.